You've just stepped into the undercurrent, where silence speaks, and the dead have stories, where trials twist, lies tangle, and justice waits in the dark. This is 12 Gauge, bent, not just reporting, relentless pursuit.
Homicide files, chalk lines fade, but the pain still breathes in the scars they made. Names on a flyer, tears on a post. We speak for the voices that need it the most. From alleyway blood to courtroom lies, we break it down raw, no suit, no disguise. Autopsy ink and ballistic threads. Each theory we chase, every word they said. Crime don't sleep, and neither do we. Mic to the ground where the truth runs free. Love, 12 Gauge locked on the case. Tracking the truth, no time to waste. From cold-blooded murder to trials on the stand, we dig through the dark with a mic in hand. Missing souls, addiction scars, forensics lit under justice stars. You want real? We speak that flame. Awareness, theory, remember the name. 12 Gauge, we aim with truth. Late night reports, body cam rolls, whispers in courtroom, shattered parole, patterns in blood, a trace on the blade, every unsolved tale, yeah, we invade the addicts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative. I'm your host, 12 Gauge. Thank you so much for being here tonight on this Sunday evening. Tonight, I wanted to do something different, but still do a little bit of true crime stuff. I wanted to talk about what the fight or flight response is and how does it incorporate with true crime. This fundamental physiologic response forms the foundation of modern-day stress medicine. The fight or flight response is our body's primitive, automatic, inborn response that prepares the body to fight or flee from perceived attacks, harm, or threat to our survival. So you ask, how does this go along with true crime? Well, think about it. Whenever you are a potential victim of a crime, of a potential crime, your body's inborn response is to fight or flee from a perceived attack so that you can be certain to survive. And what happens to us when we're under excessive stress? When we experience excessive stress, whether from internal worry or external circumstance, a bodily reaction is triggered called the fight or flight response. Originally discovered by the great Harvard psychologist Walter Cannon, this response is hardwired into our brains and represents a genetic wisdom designed to protect us from bodily harm. This response corresponds to an area of our brain called the hypothalamus, which, when stimulated, initiates a sequence of nerve cell firing and chemical release that prepares our body for running or fighting. So once again, our brains are hardwired, meaning that they've been pre-wired to respond to stimuli. When we're overstimulated, our brains automatically stimulate a sequence of nerve cell firing that release chemicals that prepares our body for running or fighting. What are some of the signs that our fight or flight response has been stimulated or even activated? When our fight or flight response is activated, sequences of nerve cell firings occur, and chemicals like adrenaline, noradrenaline, or cortisol are released into the bloodstream. These patterns of nerve cell firing and chemical releases cause our body to undergo a series of very dramatic changes. Our respiratory rate increases, our blood is shunted away from our digestive tract and directed into our muscles and our limbs, which require extra energy and fuel for running and fighting. Our pupils dilate, our awareness intensifies, our sight sharpens, our impulses quicken, our perception of pain diminishes, our immune system mobilizes with increased activation, and we become prepared physically and psychologically for fight or flight. We scan and search our environment, looking for the enemy. Not much has gone away since the early existence of man. When our fight or flight system is activated, we tend to perceive everything in our environment as a possible threat to our survival. By its very nature, the fight or flight system bypasses our rational mind, where our more well thought out beliefs exist. This is where we go from our thinking brain to our survival brain, where we go into that. We got to make sure that we take care of what we need to in order to survive. And once we go into that survivalistic brain or mindset, our more well thought out beliefs exist and moves us into attack mode. This state of alert causes us to perceive almost everything in our world as a possible threat to our survival. As such, we tend to see everyone and everything as a possible enemy. You know, this is no truer than today in 2025. There's a lot of individuals that stay in fight or flight or extremely stressed out, and they perceive everything and everyone as a potential enemy. Like airport security during a terrorist threat, we are on the lookout for every possible danger. We may overreact to the slightest comment. Our fear is exaggerated. Our thinking is distorted. We see everything through the filter of possible danger. We narrow our focus to those things that can harm us. Fear becomes the lens through which we see the world. So if you've ever known what the acronym from FEAR is false events appearing real. That means that if you perceive something as being real, that event is going to cause a lot of stress, a lot of uncomfort, and it's going to throw you into fight or flight. And you're going to live that way every day. You're going to be continuously exhausted because you're perceiving everything as a battle. We can begin to see how it's almost impossible to cultivate positive attitudes and beliefs when we're stuck in survival mode. Our heart is not open. Our rational mind is disengaged. Our consciousness is focused on fear, not love. Making clear choices and recognizing the consequences of those choices is unfeasible. We're focused on short-term survival, not the long-term consequences of our beliefs and our choices. When we're overwhelmed with excessive stress, our life becomes a series of short-term emergencies. We lose the ability to relax and enjoy the moment. We live from crisis to crisis with no relief in sight. Burnout is inevitable. This burnout is what usually provides the motivation to change our lives for the better. We are propelled to step back and look at the big picture of our lives, forcing us to examine our beliefs, our values, and our goals. So I ask you, how many of you are burned out? How many of you feel like life has no real existence for you and no hope? And it seems like everything that you do, everyone that you're around, it's a constant battle. Everything's a battle. Everything is perceived in fear that somebody's going to see you as weak and they're going to take from you what it is that you view as important, including your own thoughts. When you finish reading about these fundamental principles of fight or flight response, the relaxation response, don't forget to continue to do self-evaluation and try to find things that help you relax instead of stay stuck in fight or flight. What is our fight or flight system designed to protect us from? Our fight or flight response is designed to protect us from the proverbial saber-toothed tigers that once lurked in the woods and fields around us. They threatened our physical survival. At times when our actual physical survival is threatened, there's no greater response to have on our side. When activated, the fight or flight response causes a surge of adrenaline and other stress hormones to pump through our body. This surge is the force responsible for mothers lifting cars off their trapped children and for firemen heroically running into blazing houses to save endangered victims. The surge of adrenaline imbues us with heroism and the courage at times when we are called upon to protect and defend the lives and values we cherish. What are the saber-toothed tigers of today and why are they so dangerous? When we face real dangers to our physical survival, the fight or flight response is invaluable. Today, though, most of the saber-toothed tigers we encounter are not a threat to our physical survival. Today's saber-toothed tigers consist of rush hour traffic, missing a deadline, bouncing a check, or having an argument with our boss or our spouse. Nonetheless, these modern day saber-toothed tigers trigger the activation of our fight or flight system as if, hold on a second. Nonetheless, these modern day saber-toothed tigers trigger the activation of our fight or flight system as if our physical survival was threatened. On a daily basis, toxic stress hormones flow into our bodies for events that pose no real threat to our physical survival. So think about some of these modern day saber-toothed tigers that you allow into your world on a daily basis and how you're constantly going into fight or flight, how you allow your body to be full of cortisol after the event is over, because that's what happens is your body self-soothes and has a retention of a lot of cortisol once you have diffused the situation. Once it's been triggered, what is the natural conclusion of our fight or flight response? By its very design, the fight or flight response leads us to fight or to flee, thus creating immense amounts of muscle movement, physical exertion. Physical activity effectively metabolizes the stress hormones released as a result of the activation of our fight or flight response. Once the fighting is over and the threat which triggered the response has been eliminated, our body and our mind return to a state of calm. Has the fight or flight response become counterproductive? Of course it has. In most cases today, once our fight or flight response is activated, we cannot flee. We cannot fight. We cannot physically run from our perceived threats. When we're faced with modern day saber-toothed tigers, we have to sit in our office and control ourselves. We have to sit in traffic and deal with it. We have to wait until the bank opens to handle the balance check. In short, many of the major stresses today trigger the full activation of our fight or flight response, causing us to become aggressive, hypervigilant, and overreactive. This aggressiveness, overreactivity, and hypervigilance cause us to act or respond in ways that are actually counterproductive to our survival. Consider road rage in Los Angeles and other major cities. It is counterproductive to punch out the boss, the fight response, when he or she activates our fight or flight response, even though it might bring temporary relief to our tension. It is counterproductive to run away from the boss, the flight response, when he or she activates our fight or flight response. This all leads to a difficult situation in which our automatic, predictable, and unconscious fight or flight response causes behavior that can actually be self-defeating and work against our emotional, physiological, and spiritual survival. Is there a cumulative danger from our overactivation of our fight or flight response? Yes, there is. The evidence is overwhelming that there is a cumulative buildup of stress hormones, just what I was talking about a little while ago. If not properly metabolized over time, excessive stress can lead to disorders of our autonomic nervous system, causing headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, high blood pressure, and the like. The disorders of our hormonal and immune systems, creating susceptibility to infection, chronic fatigue, depression, and autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and allergies. So if you don't take care of yourself, your body starts to turn in on itself and start to deteriorate because it can only take so much stress before it starts turning on itself. And it tries to restabilize you. But if you stay in a period of fight or flight, you ultimately just work against your body and it starts to deteriorate and work against you. To protect ourselves today, we must consciously pay attention to the signals of fight or flight. To protect ourselves in a world of psychological rather than physical danger, we must consciously pay attention to unique signals telling us whether we are actually in fight or flight. Many of us may experience these signals in physical symptoms like tension in our muscles, headaches, upset stomach, racing heartbeat, deep sighing, or shallow breathing. Others may experience them as emotional or psychological symptoms such as anxiety, poor concentration, depression, hopelessness, frustration, anger, sadness, or fear. Excessive stress does not always show up as the feeling of being stressed. Many stresses go directly into our physical body and may only be recognized by the physical symptoms we manifest. Two excellent examples of stress induced conditions are eye twitching and teeth grinding. Conversely, we may feel lots of emotional stress in our emotional body and have very few physical symptoms or signs in our body. By recognizing the symptoms and signs of being in fight or flight, we can begin to take steps to handle the stress overload. There are benefits in being in fight or flight, even when we treat it only psychological rather than physical. For example, in times of emotional jeopardy, the fight or flight response can sharpen our mental acuity, therefore helping us deal decisively with issues, moving us to action. But it can also make us hypervigilant and overreactive during times when a state of calm awareness is more productive. So that means that sometimes when you need to just take a chill pill and relax and choose your battles instead of using every little situation as an event to overreact and sometimes fight with anger, it's just counterproductive and it only ensues the fight or flight response. By learning to recognize the signals of fight or flight activation, we can avoid reacting excessively to events and fears that are not life threatening. In so doing, we can play emotional judo with our fight or flight response, using its energy to help us rather than harm us. We can borrow the beneficial effects, heightened awareness, mental acuity, and the ability to tolerate excessive pain in order to change our emotional environment and deal productively with our fears, thoughts, and potential dangers. What can we do to reduce our stress and turn down the acuity of our fight or flight response? The fight or flight response represents a genetically hardwired early warning system designed to alert us to external environmental threats that pose a danger to our physical survival. Because survival is the supreme goal, the system is highly sensitive, set to register extremely minute levels of potential danger. As such, the fight or flight response not only warns us of the real external danger, but also of the mere perception of danger. The understanding gives us two powerful tools for reducing our stress. They are as follows: changing our external environment, our reality. This includes any action we take that helps make the environment we live in safer. Physical safety means getting out of toxic, noisy, or hostile environments. Emotional safety means surrounding ourselves with friends and people who genuinely care for us, learning better communication skills and management skills, and getting rid of toxic jobs and hurtful relationships. Spiritual safety means creating a life surrounded with a sense of purpose, a relationship with a higher power, and a resolve to release deeply held feelings of shame, worthlessness, and excessive guilt. So that's step number one. Step number two, changing our perceptions of reality. This includes any technique whereby we seek to change our mental perspectives, our attitudes, our beliefs, and our emotional reaction to the event that happened to us. Many of these techniques are discussed in depth in section 3, and they include cognitive restructuring, voice dialogue therapy, inner child work, learning not to take things personally, affirmations, and self parenting. Changing our perceptions of reality is best illustrated by the proverbial saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Without actually changing our reality, we can alter our perception of reality, viewing the difficulties of life as events that make us stronger and more loving. In the Buddhist tradition, this is referred to as developing a supple mind. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, is this really worth the energy that I'm giving this situation? Or will this pass just like every other extreme situation that I've found myself in over the years? Give it time. There's only one thing certain: life goes on and things do change. Physical exercise can also turn down the activity of an overactive fight or flight response. Perhaps the simplest, best way to turn down the activity of our fight or flight response is by physical exercise. Remember that the natural conclusion of fight or flight is vigorous physical activity. When we exercise, we metabolize excessive stress hormones, restoring our body and our mind to a calmer, more relaxed state. For the purpose of stress reduction and counteracting the fight or flight response, we do not need to exercise for 30 to 40 minutes. Any form of activity where we work up a sweat for 5 minutes will effectively metabolize off and prevent the excessive buildup of stress hormones. Get down and do 50 push ups, 50 sit ups, jumping jack, jump rope, run in place, run up and down the stairs, whatever. By exercising to the point of sweating, we effectively counteract the ill effect of fight or flight response, drawing it to a natural conclusion. So these are some great suggestions. You just have to get up, get off the couch, and do what you need to do. Sometimes when I'm upset, I close the door to my office, do 25 quick push ups, work up a light sweat, return to work, clearer and calmer. Frequent repetitions of short exercise are easy to fit into our busy schedules. For full cardiovascular fitness, longer periods of exercise do have additional benefits. But for the purpose of stress reduction, many exercise sessions are practical, effective, and beneficial. Exercises increase our natural endorphins, which help us to feel better. When we feel good, our thoughts are clear, our positive beliefs are more accessible, and our perceptions are more open. When we feel tired and physically run down, we tend to focus on what's not working in our lives, similar to a cranky child needing a nap. It's difficult to feel, or think positive when we're exhausted, sleep deprived, or physically out of condition. We're going to talk about mind chatter. What is this? If we could read the owner's manual for the mind, we would find a full chapter on what is called mind chatter. Mind chatter is the endless, restless stream of incomplete thoughts, anxieties, and self talk, which constantly pulses through our minds. In order to survive, our mind is always on, searching for possible threats, dangers, solutions, and explanations. This is called our strategic mind. The strategic mind is always on, scanning both our inner and outer world for possible threats to our well being, either real or imagined. This constant vigilance of the mind not only distracts us with excessive worry, but can also trigger the activation of our fight or flight response. Sometimes, because of the mind's incessant chatter and worry, we even begin to anticipate dangers or threats that don't really exist. This is what the soulful and gentle author John Borysenko, PhD, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, refers to as becoming an advanced worrier. This condition is described brilliantly by Mark Twain, who said, I've experienced many terrible things in my life, a few of which actually happened. Zig Ziglar, the great motivational speaker, says, worry is a misuse of the imagination. Underneath all the mind chatter and the fight or flight anxiety lies a quiet place called our inner voice, the observer or the witness. The inner voice is what Walter Cannon, MD, called the wisdom of the body. This quiet place allows us to move beyond fears, beyond our anxieties, and beyond our strategic mind, into a clearer understanding and knowing what is true and loving. As we will soon discuss, a quiet mind calms over our overproductive physiology, creating a sequence of physiologic and biochemical changes that improve our physical health. The simplest, most exquisite way I know to quiet the mind is by eliciting what is called the relaxation response. What is the relaxation response, you ask? This was discovered by the inspirational author and Harvard cardiologist Herbert Benson, MD, which represented a hardwired antidote to the fight or flight response. The relaxation response corresponds to a physical portion of the brain, which is located in the hypothalamus, which, when triggered, sends out neurochemicals that almost precisely counteract the hypervigilant response of the fight or flight response. When we follow the simple steps necessary to elicit the relaxation response, we can predictably measure its benefits on the body. These include a decrease in blood pressure, diminished respiratory rate, lower pulse rate, diminished oxygen consumption, increase in the alpha brain waves associated with relaxation, and in many cases, an improved sense of mental and spiritual well being. Because the relaxation response is hardwired, we do not need to believe it will work any more than we need to believe our leg will jump when the doctor taps our patellar tendon with a little red hammer. The relaxation response is a physiologic response, and such. There are many ways to elicit it, just as there are many ways to increase our pulse, another physiological response. We must take time to exercise a relaxation response or a muscle. The solution to overactivation of our fight or flight response is simple. When we take the time to exercise our relaxation response muscle, we will enjoy the beneficial physiological, biochemical, and mental effects. These beneficial effects are measurable whether we believe a relaxation response or not. Some people do experience immediate emotional calm and tranquility when they learn to elicit the relaxation response, but others do not. We cannot measure the effectiveness of the relaxation response based on how it feels. Dr. Benson liked to liken this to brushing our teeth. We know brushing is good for us, whether we feel it works or not. Feeling good is an additive benefit. The most important thing is to actually take the time and discipline necessary to elicit the relaxation response. Once elicited, the benefits of our overstressed physiologically and biochemistry will be experienced. Additionally, we will bypass the fear and anxiety that so quickly narrows our perception and infects our beliefs with suspicion and doubt. How do we elicit the relaxation response? There are many ways to elicit the physiologic benefits of the relaxation response. The easiest is with a simple two-step method as follows. Focus on the word or phrase that is a positive meaning to you. Such words as one, love, and peace work well. Effective phrases might also include, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God grant me the serenity. Or, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. When you find your mind has wandered or you notice any intrusive thoughts entering your mind, simply disregard them and return your focus to the word or phrase you choose. Be aware that your mind will tend to wander and intrusive thoughts will enter your mind. This is normal. Just allow those thoughts to pass through your mind like a summer breeze passes through an open window. The second step above is related to our ability to let go of intrusive thoughts or excessive worries. Dr. Benson says to summon the healing effect of relaxation response, you need to surrender everyday worries and tensions. This gets our harried minds out of the way of our body's natural ability to heal. It's funny to watch the tricks our mind plays on us. It will try to tell us things like, this is stupid. Why am I sitting here doing this? I hope no one sees me here meditating. This will never work. That's it. I'm going to quit now. When you realize your mind has wandered, just let go of the thought and return back to your word or phrase. Remember, whether your mind wanders or your thoughts drift, simply practice the two steps above will elicit the relaxation response and deliver beneficial physiologic and emotional benefits as predictably as flipping a light switch causes the light bulb to shine. The key to deriving the benefits of the relaxation response is to practice it daily. Dr. Benson recommends at least 10 to 15 minutes once a day or twice a day. This will produce the maximum benefit. When I first learned this technique from Dr. Benson, I remember him telling us his dental analogy. He told us to treat the relaxation response the same way you treat brushing your teeth. Do it because you know it's good for you. Don't worry whether you think it had a good relaxation response or not. You wouldn't say to yourself, that was a good toothbrushing, would you? Whether you felt it was a measurable, predictable, and repeatable, the quieting of the mind that results from eliciting the relaxation response is critical in order to open up our perpetual world away from negativity and fear. This freedom allows us to be more awake, more aware, and more conscious of the attitudes and beliefs we choose when living our daily lives. Are there other ways to quiet the mind? Because the relaxation response is a physiologic response like our heart rate or respiratory rate, there are many ways to elicit it, just as there are many ways to increase our heart rate. They include during any repetitive exercise, such as walking, swimming, or running, repeat your focused word or phrase with each step or stroke. For example, when I run with each step, I might say peace or love. Practicing yoga with its mental focus on postures and breathing can elicit relaxation. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing exercises with a focus on breath can trigger the relaxation response. Progressive muscle relaxation techniques where you ultimately contract and relax each muscle group, moving progressively from head to toe, will elicit the beneficial effects of the relaxation response. Repetitive forms of prayer elicit the relaxation response. Singing or chanting your focused word or phrase, either silently or out loud, will elicit the relaxation response. Mindfulness meditation, a method that comes from Buddhist philosophy and involves merely observing or noticing things, will elicit the relaxation response. For example, we may walk down the street and say, my feet are touching the pavement. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. I notice the tree ahead. The top branches are swaying in the breeze. I'm feeling thirsty. My body is sweating. My feet are on the grass now. The grass is soft. By simply noticing our experiences and naming it without judging or evaluating whether it is good or bad, we tap into a source of active meditation that elicits the relaxation response instead of having one single focused word or phrase. The world around us and the world of feelings within us become our focused phrase. The key to simply notice our world and our feelings. No judgments of good, bad, right, wrong, lazy, weak, strong, kind, mean, etc. are given any attention. This is similar to simply disregarding any intrusive thoughts. Emotional mindfulness might sound like I'm feeling sad, tears are welling up in my eyes. I'm remembering the hurt I felt when I left home that day. My stomach is growling. I feel my body shaking. I'm feeling sad again. Notice there's only simple acknowledgement, recognition, and naming of the feeling or event. Any judgments about our feelings are passively disregarded with a return of one's mental focus to the observation and naming of emotions or bodily sensations. Other simple ways to quiet the mind. In addition to the above, formal methods for quieting our mind, we don't have to make it complicated. We can take a walk on a sandy beach and listen to the crashing waves. We can go into the forest at night where we hear nothing but the sound of crickets. Take a warm bath, walk by a creek and listen to the running water. I recently visited my sister and her husband in San Francisco, where an afternoon walk among the ancient redwoods of the Muir Woods did just the trick. Walking across wooden bridges over running streams with a loving family as peaceful as any meditative moment I've ever experienced. We can't learn how to swim in a stormy ocean. We need to practice quiet moments whenever we have the chance. Quieting our mind follows awareness and attention When we become aware that we're rushing in our heads, we stop, breathe, and take a quiet moment of reflection. With practice, quieting our restless thoughts becomes automatic. When first learning a formal technique for quieting the mind, be patient with yourself. We need to learn these techniques when things are calm. Their effectiveness comes from repetition and practice. We don't learn how to swim in a stormy ocean. Similarly, we cannot learn to elicit relaxation response in the midst of emotional, psychological, or social storms. We need to learn the techniques in calm waters. Then, when the rains come, we can utilize them to help us stay afloat in the stormy seas. In the sense, the mind is likened to a pond of water. Restless thoughts are like pebbles thrown into the water. They send out a ripple of activity, disturbing the tranquil surface. When the water is constantly agitated and restless thoughts, we cannot see clearly to the bottom of the pond, which represents our inner wisdom. When we stop the restless thoughts, we calm the waters, enabling us to clearly see to the bottom, where our wisest, most enlightened self resides. So, fight or flight, we all have it. We all have those damaging thoughts that we've been repeating since we were young. But there is a relaxation technique that can work you through any situation that you may encounter. You just have to take the first steps. Do it slowly. Do it when the calm is here, kind of like it said. Don't learn to swim in a stormy sea. I hope you enjoyed that. Once again, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is 12 Gauge Investigative. Have a good evening. Till next time.